No,
Oh no, what's wrong with you?
don't want to talk about it.
This is about Rusty, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't want to talk about it.
So you don't want to talk about how John Reed finally got a good hit?
Don't.
Oh dear. Would a hug help?
No, this is serious.
Oh dear. I tell you what, I'll move on. Welcome back to the Shuntcast, ladies and gentlebots. It's time to review episode 7 of BattleBots 2020, and Dale is going to have to wait for a very good cry because we need to review the fight.
I'll try.
Thank you. You're so kind. So first into the battle box this episode, it's Captain Shredderator and Axe Backwards. I have to say, both these bots have had massive reliability issues in the past, and I was kind of wondering which one of them was given the easy win here with this matchup. However, both bots lasted pretty well, actually. I'll give them that.
Captain Treadrator worked. That's a first.
Nice.
Yeah, I like the wedge idea of act backwards. That would be nice to see more of next time. Yeah, no, just thinking about the idea of later on in the fight. I've heard of popping a wheelie, but that was ridiculous at the end.
Yes, so Captain Shredderator claimed the victory over Axe Backwards, but Axe Backwards, to be fair, didn't let him have an easy time of it. I have to say, actually, I think this is probably the best performance I've seen out of both of these bots in a long time, because as I said, they've had massive reliability issues for ages. I'd be interested to know, actually, in terms of filming order, was this fight after or before Malice? Because they did kind of explode when they fought Malice. I'd like to know if I'd like to know if this was before or after Malice, because I mean, to be fair, if coming back after exploding to Malice is pretty good going for the Axe Backwards team.
Yes, although I also wanted to point out as well the Farouk intros on these ones. Considering they're meant to be the good ones to start the show off, I thought they were quite lackluster.
Yeah,
They were a bit.
I think
not at their best.
we're just cursed with Farouking this season, aren't we?
I feel like we are, yes. But I just thought I'd make mention of it because it was a thing I noticed. I was just like, But there we go.
There we go. We'll move on to P1 versus Copperhead. So if the fight against Gigabyte didn't convince viewers that Copperhead was a monster, they surely can't be in any doubt now. It's, P1 was assassinated. Cleanly, at least. The arena cleaners don't have a big job on their hands, admittedly. If we had a Kick Me in the Fields award for the season, I think it goes to the P1 team for that's how it be sometimes. Because, oh man, I know that feeling so hard. And I just at me next time, P1. Just at me next time, okay?
Oh, holy crap. Copperhead is impressive. It's just, yeah, I mean, just what do you say to that? It was just 2 hits and done.
A literal case of wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. Because that was it, 2 hits, boom, boom, done.
Pretty much, yes. And the rest is history.
Oh,
yeah. I'm here all week. Oh, dear.
You got any more snake puns to add to your collection?
Oh, dear.
Yes, we're going to move on to the next fight.
Can we gloss over this one? I don't want to talk about it.
Well, Dale, we have to. Come on, soldier on.
No, I can't.
I see. Well, we're going to have to employ some silliness here, aren't we? There's only one thing for it. Welcome to Shunt Posting News. I'm your host, Sarah Mallion. This week in BattleBots news, the veteran British bonker Beta took on fan favourite Rusty and caused an absolute shitstorm on Robot War Shunt Posting after penetrating Rusty's rear end with its pneumatic bonker, causing anxious speculation among Shunt posters that Rusty may in fact not claim the giant nut. We go live now to our respect and admiration correspondent, Gabe Stroud, for a statement from the Beta team. Gabe, just what do you and John have to say for yourselves?
Well, I think, to be honest, we've done Rusty a massive favour because he's got the ability, had the ability to fight a top level bot, which can only bring him fame. If you look at the Vikings, you always want to fight the big boy. You want to fight the big guy and get a reputation. So if you can beat them, then you've got that. It's really a win-win for Rusty, isn't it?
Okay. So you're saying it's
So,
a noble loss?
well, do you know what? Rusty could have won that.
Okay, how?
Because if you look at Rusty's, we were actually a bit worried about Rusty because the thing is, if you're fighting, like you're essentially you're a let's say you're a heavyweight boxer or a sort of champion, and you're given this small kid to fight. But David and Goliath, David can have his sling, he can have his stone, and I looked at Rusty and I measured his sort of little probe, which is actually a fairly serious pneumatic sort of hammer drill. And when I looked at it, I thought, do you know what? If he gets that right and John messes up, if he puts that into the top of us, because we've got no armor on the top of us, if he puts that in, that's going through the electronics, that's going through all of that stuff. So it was actually a little bit more scary than you think.
Ah, so you were scared of Rusty giving you a good hit.
We would exactly. I mean, it's all about waiting for a good hit, but don't wait too long because sometimes, John can suddenly get a little bit blindsided and just drive into the corner for no reason. And he did that when I fought him, and I ripped his bum open. So the last thing we want is for that to happen. So, and we didn't want to destroy Rusty because that's just crazy. But Rusty's a solid little robot. He's a solid robot. There's no way we would have really been destroying him. He looks like he took a massive piece of damage. But that aluminium on the back was only, I think, 1.5 mil thick.
Blimey. There was at least some redeeming features of this battle. You didn't get the popcorn bowl, so that's at least one thing. And I genuinely believe that had you really beaten up Rusty, you would have been the only people capable of causing more salt than Hydra. Because honestly, if you'd smashed up Rusty good and proper, not just the little hit on the backside, but if you'd tombstoned it, for example, you'd forever be the villain, even worse than Hydra, honestly.
So I think obviously, I think when we got the Rusty draw, we thought, it's exciting. It's going to be a good match. There was like 2% worry about the drill because it could, a lucky hit. But actually, we thought, we can do this one. And some people obviously I've seen the salt about it. Why is Rusty having to fight like, a big robot like that? But if you notice, they didn't give Rusty to Tombstone. No. They didn't give Rusty to Witch Doctor. They gave Rusty to a Hammerbot, which can obviously with Beta we can do a huge amount of damage still. But but I think, to be honest, it's only going to when the small bots come along. Sometimes they do need to fight a bigger bot to get that reputation, to get that thing. And when someone like Rusty gets back up again after you've hit him or carries on going, you just love him more and more. So I think, to be honest, just did him a massive favour. For reputation wise, let's hope those YouTube views go up hugely for Rusty, because I love Rusty as well. He's such an amazing robot. I mean, I became a little bit obsessed with Rusty. He was actually fixing his Rusty in the battery tent eventually because it was quite hot. And my table for charging, you have to sit with your batteries when you're doing it, was 2 tables up. And I watched David doing Rusty, and I sort of edged more and more towards him and said, Can I help? And I went, and I sort of was a bit apprehensive. And he went, and he reminds me of there's a YouTuber which I love, who's guy in the Midwest who builds wagon wheels, and he's really sort of slow and methodical. And David reminded me perfectly of him. So it was almost like working with my favorite YouTuber. And I said, Can I remake the back end for you? And he went, Sure. And then, and I said, What else can I do? And I just sort of, and I didn't, it sounds like I did it to sort of go and be a noble person and help. But I just really wanted to work alongside David on Rusty. That was actually my motivation.
Was it a bit of a throwback to the old days of the glory days of Robot Wars, fighting Rusty?
I mean, Rusty is exactly how I started building a robot. And that was, I've got this stuff and that's round. And then I've got this and I'm going to weld it to that. My first robot was a scooter. Yeah, exactly. My first robot was a scooter I chopped up and sort of built around. And the robot really, I didn't design it. It sort of evolved. And I think that's what happened with Rusty, which is what I really loved about it. Because if you look at it, it's all, all the weight's in the wrong places. And it's just, but you can tell he's just in the barn. He's going, I've got a tube. I'm going to weld that to that. I'm going to do this. I'm going to make that. Oh, there's that. That will go on there. and it evolves, and then he's gone off to the end of it, and you can tell he's gone, I need a hat. Oh, there you go, popcorn bowl. So it was just, I love Rusty. If Rusty doesn't become a toy, there's something seriously wrong with the world.
I wholeheartedly agree with you there. Well, Gabe, I think in conclusion, I think shunt posters, they are very upset about Rusty getting bonked on the butt, but there was the redeeming feature of it not getting hit on the head. John said the line, and I think they're delighted to have heard that you helped fix Rusty afterwards. So I think shunt posters will forgive them, shall we? Drop us a comment, let us know. Come on, we can forgive the beta team. And there's more good hits to look forward to in the future, I hope. So, you know, don't hate them too much.
I mean, I got some proper rage on. So you're gonna be hopefully you can hear it. They put my microphone tapped in for later fights. You'll get there. You'll get
Lovely. All right. Well, thank you for coming on the show, Gabe, and giving us a quick statement. I'll get back to Dale now and hope that he's not too traumatized.
Take care.
Take care. Bye. Do you feel better now? Gabe did help Rusty at least.
Oh, I suppose. I'll try. I'll draw.
It was an okay fight though. We did get to see Beta's hammer working, and John did say the line. Come on, Dale. John said the line. Be a little bit happy.
No, to be fair, I actually prefer Kenny Florian's version. Be selective about when to deploy that thing. I mean, that was just so much better.
It's just how much extra could we make this line?
Yeah.
That's how much extra you could do it, Kenny. That is. I mean, come on though. At least the popcorn bowl survived.
I suppose.
He didn't get his face smashed in.
I mean, give it credit.
Not join the Nelly Club just yet.
Yeah. Rusty did well to get out of the way for a bit. It survived about 35 seconds, I think it was, before it happened. And it did try to fight back after being a bit stuck, but then that second hit, and I couldn't wait for the ref to count.
It was painful. It was just like, come on, ref, have mercy on this robot, please.
1, 2, missed a few, 10.
Yeah. Oh dear. F in the chat for us, but never mind, because we know Rusty is going to take the nut. So you know, this is just a small setback in Rusty's career at BattleBots here, I think. So we'll move on to Sporkinok versus Sub-Zero. Another good outing for Sub-Zero. I think Sporkinok requires an F in the chat at this point, because, oh man, I want Sporkinok to do well. It's a great looking bot. The team behind it might be noobs to BattleBots, but they are not noobs to the sport. And if I may be wholesome for a moment, this team promotes trans pride, and it's the first team on BattleBots to openly do so. So I feel quite affectionate towards this team. But it is getting plagued by those pesky gremlins, and Sub-Zero just took full advantage of that and knocked them out. Sub-Zero is looking very good in the eyes of the selection committee, though, I think, now. What do you reckon?
Yeah, I mean, I can't argue with that. I mean, like I say, I mean, you covered it all what I was going to say anyway, to be fair, but I feel for Sporkinok. The first fight with Rusty, no one mentioned them. It was all about Rusty. And then now this, just getting flipped all over the place. But, you know, yeah, impressive by Sub-Zero, all those flips.
Flying sporks.
Yes.
Goodness gracious, great sporks of flying. Oh, I'm proud of that video.
Oh, that was beyond terrible. Cut that out. That was terrible.
No. Also, I'm very proud of the Great Bots of Fire video, and I can't make myself meme of the week, which I'm sad about because I'm proud of that. But never mind, I'll be accused of all sorts. Should we move on to Tracer versus Bale Spear? And I mean, Bale Spear's in it. I've got to do it. Farmageddon. I couldn't not do it. Come on.
Yes. I mean, I've heard that far too many times without being recorded, so it's about time.
So Tracer did a little bit better in this fight than it did against Ribot, so we'll give it that, but at the same time, not the most convincing win, especially given the performance of Bale Spear, which did look a little bit sad. We did see the weapon fire at least. It missed and didn't do really many damage, but we saw it working at least, which is more than can be said for Beta's weapon against Rotator. But I'm so sorry, we'll move on. But yeah, an unconvincing win. An unconvincing win, I think, still for Tracer. But at least it's better than an embarrassing loss to Ribbot, which it's lost to Ribbot kind of was. But I don't know that it's necessarily going to impress the selection committee, but who knows what those guys think at this point.
Yeah, I mean, if they're anything like the judges, I mean, they're probably going to get it all wrong anyway.
I mean, at the
like
moment,
I say,
the lineup is weird, isn't it? Because you've got robots like Witch Doctor and Rotator that are currently sat at 0-2, and Rusty until Beta had a 100% win record. It's not that I'm salty or anything. Argue, John Reed.
It's nice to see Tracer work, and quick mention to all those ad wheel guards people in the comments. Like, this is the reason why they don't do it, because it locked the wheels up.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why you don't do it all the time. Better to lose a wheel and still drive with less wheels than not have, can't rotate wheels. I can't think words. But yeah, you get the idea.
Alternatively, you could just do what Nelly does and just bury the wheels somewhere in the robot. Just be like, yeah, all right, find my wheels if you can.
I mean, that works as well.
I mean,
yes,
I say it like
well.
my robot didn't get completely smashed up and decapitated in other ways, but no, we'll move on.
The wheels worked. The wheels worked. That's all you need.
The wheels work, to be fair. So fuck you, Reddit commenters. Main event: Whiplash versus Gruff. Okay, given what happened to Sawblaze's flamethrower last week, and the fact that Gruff has 2 flamethrowers, and it's the main event, I have to admit I was a little bit worried and excited at the same time for another fireball. I thought, oh dear, we saw what happened last week to Sawblaze, and now in the main event we have a robot with not 1 but 2 flamethrowers against Whiplash, which does have a spinner and is very well driven. And well, we didn't get a fireball, so there's that. But we did get a masterclass in driving. This match was a total slugfest, and I loved every minute of it. It was great. Solid win for Whiplash, but at the same time, a noble loss for Gruff. If I was the selection committee, I'm fancying Gruff more than Tracer at the moment.
I mean, Gruff was also who was the last one? I can't quite remember now.
Hypershock.
Oh yeah, that would And like I say, I mean, Tracer lost once, so I would definitely put Gruff above Tracer. So even without the, regardless of how good or bad the wins and losses were, just a win is a win. I would say puts you above on some level anyway. Anyway, yeah.
But I think this is a loss, much in the same way that Kraken lost to Black Dragon. It's a very noble loss that I still think could impress the selection committee. So when we get some more reveals as to who's going to be in the top 32, I expect to see Gruff in there if it carries on like this, doing really well losing or doing awesome winning.
Yes. I've seen 1 or 2 people say they find Whiplash boring, and I'd like to know what they're watching sometimes, because when it works, it's so good. And it's always
so well driven. Yeah.
And I just don't understand. Like, I've seen a few, like I say, not like hundreds or anything, but I see the odd one saying, "Oh, Whiplash is boring." I think, no, you're weird.
I think Whiplash has the potential to be boring, or that kind of bot has the potential to be boring if it's not well driven. But Matty Vasquez drives it so well. I mean, the coordination with not just the spinner and the lift. There's 3 things going on. I'm not sure. They must have separate weapon operator for the spinner or the lifter at least, because how can you drive, lift, and spin at the same time on one controller? I'm not sure. I mean, having said that, I'm probably now going to be told actually Matty does it all, and I'm just going to be even more impressed. But yeah, you can't call a robot like Whiplash boring when it is in the hands of someone like Matty Vasquez, because that, like I said, that was a masterclass in driving and control. It was amazing.
And it's sponsored by Megatit.
Yes. Oh, the Megatit sponsor. It's for any one of the shop posters listening going, what are they on about? Whiplash is sponsored by a company called Megit, but no, it's Megatit. Come on.
It looks like Megatit, yes, if you don't read it right.
The first time I read it, my brain went there and I went Megatit. Now, ladies and gentlemen, you probably noticed that we missed out the fight between Mammoth and Hypershock, and that's because we were waiting very patiently to have Ricky Willems on the show. Hey, Ricky.
Hey, thank you.
How's it going?
Oh, I am still got a terrible lithium hangover from that hit at the end of our fight. Other than that, I'm doing great.
Could you please answer Kurt Durgeon's question and tell us, did you get his license plate?
Oh, yeah. Somehow insurance decided not to cover it though.
Ah, well, that's just mean. Okay, so what was your reaction when you found out you were drawn against Hypershock?
So I was like, well, now I've done it because I had gone the whole preseason talking about wanting to fight Hypershock, and what's
Oops.
more, I thought that was a good matchup for us. And one of the other things I'd said is like, hey, we put so many upgrades in here. We are now faster than Hypershock, which was technically true, but I had turned the speed down on the robot to make it a little more drivable before the fight, and I did not turn it back up, and maybe I should have.
It was a masterclass in driving from Will, though. I mean, to get round such a large robot as Mammoth so quickly the way he did, I don't think there's too many drivers who could have pulled that off the way he did. I have to give him credit for that.
Yeah, not just that, but he also he baited me a couple times in ways that only come from experience in the battle box, and I took the bait, and each time I did, I had pieces removed from my robot. So that was not just skill outside of the arena. That was BattleBots experience coming into play. So good on him.
I have to ask, did he help out with the repairs that you needed after that hit?
I mean, he gave me sad puppy dog eyes from 6 foot away.
That's nice of him.
we had a second robot that we kind of put into play relatively quickly, and the other one went off for some extensive surgery, so to speak. But
it did. Did you have a prehistoric surgeon on site?
We did. Matt Bailey is just absolutely incredible, and seriously, if you look at the robot in some of the places, you would never know that it had just chunks ripped out of it. He's incredible with his scalpel, as it were, his sawzall.
Some of our listeners may not know who that is. Who is Matt Bailey?
Matt Bailey is one of our team members. He's a mechanical engineer and helped me design some of. He took the lead on the design of the drive system on the robot. So the fact that Mammoth is faster and stronger this year is a lot. A lot of that credit goes to Matt Bailey. So thanks,
thank you, Matt.
Mm-hmm.
So we shall tuck in to some fan and builder questions, and
yes.
I'm gonna exert my my dominance as queen of Shunt posting, and first tuck into a Nelly question, because my robot would like to know, Ricky, did you miss me?
Yes, I think we were all there. May have been some attachments laying in wait just to chuck Nelly, and or I should say just to lovingly pat Nelly on the back with a supportive like in the movie when you do a good job coming out of the locker room, that kind of thing.
You can't be worse than Deep Six, so I'll take it.
Yeah, well, so anyway, yes, we missed Nelly. We need Nelly back. Win Purple Robot.
We need the Battle of the Elephants in 2021, Ricky. It's got to happen. I can't believe it didn't happen when we were there in 2019. It was like, come on, just such a missed opportunity. Especially with all the social media rivalry that we'd had for so long. And it's like, come on. And then COVID got in the way of us. We would have had that battle this year. If I'd made it to 2020, we would have absolutely had that battle. We would have, I think you and I collectively would have bullied the producers, into submission over it. Like, damn it, give us this fight.
What a great fight that could have been for the Josh Gates Tonight Show. Battle of the Elephants. That guy goes out on safari all the time. He could have said, this is what happens when a what do they call it? A bull elephant, and I don't know, a cow. That's offensive to Nelly. It's whatever it is, whatever the lady element of the.
Nelly is a bonking elephant. That's what I like to think.
The bull and the bonk? No?
Yes. Bull and the bonk, yeah. We do need to have the battle for the superior pachyderm.
Mm-hmm. We will get there.
And moving on, your teammate Bryce wants to know what was your favorite upgrade for this season.
Oh, it's got to be the monster motors. The hard part is choosing between the monster weapon motor and the monster drive motors, but I think it's got to be the weapon motor.
I think for me too. That was that test video was amazing. I was like, oh shit! The battle for the superior pachyderm may be a little more challenging this year.
Mm-hmm. So, with a little luck, we'll be double that power again next year. So we're excited.
Adam Matthew Peckett asks, apart from Nelly and Mammoth, who is your favourite animal-themed robot? And if Mammoth had a mini-bot, what would it be called?
Ooh. Well, let's see. There are a lot of good animal-themed robots.
I'd like to offer Kraken. I mean, come on.
Yeah. I have to say, I had this dream in my head last year of chucking a shark at Kenny Florian. That's really was one of my big goals. So classic Sharko has a special place in my heart. The miniature mammoth we have is Baby Shoes, but I think that
and there's Stiletto as well, isn't there?
There is Stiletto as well, and then the little 3-pound robot, which has not seen combat yet, keeping with the shoe themed, is named Fetus. Although it's spelled just a little differently.
Mm-hmm.
But we do have a little mammoth stuffed animal, and that little stuffed animal is named Topsy. So I think if we had a mini bot, it would have to be named Topsy.
Can you also please make another Topsy so that I can have one?
Oh,
please.
Yes.
Could be my commiseration prize for losing to Mammoth in 2021.
Mm-hmm. Or your congratulation prize. You never know.
Either way, I wasn't going to trash talk you when you're the guest on my show, but but I am going to beat you.
Oh dear. Anyway, next, moving on. Graham Grizz Glover couldn't think of a question, but he wanted to let you know that he thought the fight with Hughes was epic, and that he used it to convert a new fan.
Oh, that's everything we could want in the world. So
yeah.
Thank you
such
for
a good take
doing
home.
the Lord's work there.
I mean, if you've converted a fan, that's what it's all about. My favorite thing, actually, and I hate to be terribly wholesome, is every now and then on Instagram, I get a parent send me a little video of their little girl going nearly bonk, or something like that at the telly. Aww. And it's like, oh, it's the most heartwarming thing. It's why I do it, and it makes me ignore all the stupid hatred comments on places like Reddit. It's like, yeah, that's why I do it.
If you're not offending someone, are you really doing anything worthwhile?
This is true. This is very true. Aidan James from the Boltergeist team asks,
yes.
How made were you about that hit, and did Will feel bad about it too?
Oh, yes. Is that the one that had the graph of different feelings you could have?
Yes.
It was fine. I was bummed. But if you ask for another hit,
there's that risk.
That risk could happen, and I knew that could happen. I didn't. That robot burned for hours and hours and hours. I think it was 4 hours later that we took that shot. So that last little clip of us outside. The outside of the robot, I think they had a temperature gun, and it was like 800 or 900 degrees for 3 or 4 hours before we could even approach it. So it was more like, that's what did I ask for? It wasn't. Will is fine. I know he.
I don't think he did it on purpose.
Well, he also, we have a big polycarbonate wall in between us now because of COVID. So he's not going to be able to hear instructions on not the battery box.
Yes.
I don't know if you noticed, but he's like thumb up, thumb down. He's giving me big eyeballs.
He's like, shall I hit you? Shall I not?
Right. And of course, all he's looking for me to do is go affirmative in some way, and he's going to nail it. But no, it was okay. If we'd gotten up, there was only the slightest chance in the world that we could have. it's almost a shame that he didn't hit us a second time there, like in the end, because our wheels still worked at the end. We were still drivable.
Oh wow.
It would, we got out and drive around just fine, but that's okay. That's okay. I wasn't mad. I was just frustrated with myself. That was probably not the right call.
Mary Catherine Carr asks, how many mammoths could fit inside of a mammoth?
I saw that question and I don't know what the answer is. Every year we want to have mammoths that stack like cups and we never quite get there.
Oh, I'm going to Google how big is a mammoth.
I would think you could get like 4 of them in there if you kind of
9 to 11 feet tall, according to Google.
Oh, that's not as big as you would think. Okay. So
weighed
really,
around 6 tons.
Yeah, well, they're chunky boys.
They are.
I think if you're just going by space considerations, we could only get like 3 or 4 of them in there at most.
Well, there we go. We ask sensible questions here on the Shuntcast. This is important to know. This is epic fan knowledge. One day in a pub quiz, this will come in handy to somebody.
It's going to come up on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire next week. And
right, exactly.
Mary Catherine Carr is going to walk home with that $64,000 question.
Surely in your case it'd be Who Wants to Be a Willionaire?
Willems there, yeah.
Oh dear, I try. Sorry.
Oh dear. Noel Jr. Villegas asks, how many configurations does Mammoth have?
So that's a good question. We showed up with we only really showed up with 2 configurations. I mean, there were a few small things that we could well, I take that back. So we could change out one of 2 different weapon types. You can add or remove the flamethrower. You can add or remove the extra wheels, and you can add or remove the front armor for the kind of hoop armor that we had up against Huge. So what did I just list there? Like 5 different options, and I guess that would be 5 to the second power is like 25 different permutations you could have.
Don't ask me to maths. I can't maths. Podcast I can do.
Well, that's or I guess it would be 2 to the 5th actually. Let's see here. not 5 to the 2nd. So it'd be 32 configurations, I guess. Next year we are planning on showing up with way more configurations because it's just so much fun having different weapons and not having your opponent know what's coming next. Mm-hmm. So
including
get ready
the
for
Nelly configuration, huh?
Oh, funny you say that.
I suppose you're not going to tell me, are you?
No, absolutely
Spoilers. All right. Well, Dale's got another question for you in that case.
As long as you don't have a Hydra bar, that's all that matters.
I mean, Mammoth is a Hydra bar in could have saved money on it. They could have just attached Mammoth to it and paid Ricky for it. Sorry, go on, Dale.
Yeah. Next question. Steve Dufort asks, how high off the floor did Mammoth get Huge during that fight, and how does that compare to an NBA player?
Ooh, how far did we? So we didn't get Huge as high as we wanted to because we ended up flipping up in the air. It was one of those things.
Entanglement.
Yeah. You think they would ban that?
It was kinky.
There's someone into everything, and if you go,
if it exists, there's porn of it. Let's be honest. That's the rule, isn't it?
Yes, that is the. So, the answer, I think, if you take the highest part that we got Huge in the air, there was a point where one of their sides was about 6 feet up. Which obviously is kind of a short NBA player. There were points though where Mammoth was closer to the bottom of Mammoth, the thing that was closest to the ground, was like 8 feet up in the air.
Oh wow!
I don't know the tallest NBA player, but that's a really tall person. And then if you look, what I like to do, because you always tweak the numbers to go in your favor. The tail of Mammoth is then another 11 feet up from that. So 19 feet up in the air would be the highest point that that Mammoth had touched. And those are just eyeballing it from the videos. We didn't go back with like a CSI enhanced kind
Okay, so
of.
bear in mind these are male inches, right? Oh dear. Ricky doesn't regret coming on the Shuntcast at all, ladies and gentlemen.
No.
Thank you.
It's
So
6 feet long, I swear.
Roger Mail asks, if Mammoth and Nelly were in a tag team fight, who would you like your opponents to be? Elephants versus...
Oh, well, we had a plan for elephants versus icky fish monsters.
Yes, we did. Kraken and
So-
Sharkoprian.
Yeah. I think that's the trouble with that, right? Is that you really want to highlight each robot as much as possible, and when you jump into a four-way, you really got to take turns for that to happen.
Mm-hmm.
I wish we could do a tag team kind of.
Oh, well, the fight did say if we were in a tag team.
Yeah, but actually, I suppose you and I should say, Mammoth and Nelly are probably the best robots to have an actual tag off. Like high five the trunk with the bonker to jump in and out of the arena.
Yes.
I don't know how Kraken and Sharko are going to do that. They're just going to have to like smooch and go.
I think Kraken would have to go for you, because I'm not sure that there's anywhere on Nelly that Kraken could actually bite, with the exception of the wedge, or maybe if it could just about bite down on the hammer when it's in the retracted position. But Nelly is such a large robot. I mean, again, it's tricks of the camera, isn't it? You don't realize how big Nelly is until you actually see her in person. She is actually almost as big as Huge.
Wow.
Almost as wide as Huge. If Huge took the sticky outy bits at the end of Huge's wheels, if you take those off, Nelly is as wide as Huge. It's wider because it's got those things sticking out from the wheel. And we are only about 2 inches shorter than Huge with the domes. And if we put the hammer up, we're definitely taller than Huge.
I didn't even get that sense of scale last year. We got to try it. Yep, that settles it. Got to do it.
Right, so we're going to have a quick game of beat, defeat, judges. It's like Snog, Marry, Avoid, but less creepy and more robots. Your opponents are Bronco, Quantum, and Nelly. Not that we've tried to get loads of Nelly into this podcast or anything.
No, I'm sure that's a complete coincidence. I have really wanted to hook one of Quantum's teeth and just chuck it across the arena. So I think I would have to beat Quantum.
Okay.
And then it would be, I think if I did a good job with Bronco, it would head to the judges, because neither of us would be able to, I know they can take a hit and they can, survive falling to the ground.
I see where this is going.
So, that's going to have to be a judges for Bronco. And that leaves defeat for Nelly. I don't know. Just the process of elimination.
So Mammoth beats Bronco, gets defeated by Nelly, and takes it to the judges with Bronco. And that leaves us with deciding the good hit of the night award for this episode, Ricky. Dale is probably going to be really offended if you choose Beta's butt bonk as the good hit of the night award. There is also the Hypershock hit, which we've affectionately called Not the Batteries. Those were the 2 nominations we came up with, but it is your choice. But loyalty to Dale says that I must inform you that he will be sad if you choose Beta.
I also just want to quickly add Copperhead was pretty good.
Yeah, that's actually where I'm going with this. That Copperhead hit against P1 was, especially if you just go back and freeze frame it, that was an intense hit. There really aren't a lot of robots that hit as hard as Copperhead. So
it is a monster this year, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. It is a scary, scary robot. So I have to go with Copperhead hitting P1 for that first really intense hit.
Well, fair. Well, there we go. Congratulations, Copperhead. You get the John Reed Good Hit of the Night award, and Dale isn't
The
sad.
Rusty Good Hit Award, not the John Reed anymore. It's not that.
I see. I see. You're very salty, aren't you? Well, Ricky, thank you so much for joining us. Do you have any shout outs you'd like to give out before we go?
Oh, well, I got to thank our sponsors. They really came in. Importantly. What does that even mean? They really came in clutch this year. So Sencut Send, thank you. Altium, thank you. Wedge Industries, thank you. Bear Welding, thank you. And of course the Baltimore Hackerspace. We couldn't do it without you. So thanks to all of you.
And your team, and your family, and
it's
Topsy.
It's true. It's funny because you try so hard on TV to get shout outs to your team, and they always get edited out. And I understand why, but at the same time, my team really has been fantastic. And to say I couldn't do without my sponsors.
To the Mammoth team. Congrats, well done.
Thank you.
Well, Ricky, thank you so much for being on the show. We will see you later.
See you later. Adios.
Bye-bye. Now that Ricky's gone, I'll be man off myself. I'll see you in a bit.
Oh, dear. It's time for the Builders Playlist, the part of the show where we take your musical suggestions and offer them up to Al Kindle to pass his judgment upon. How's it going, Al?
Hail Rusty.
Yes, hail Rusty. And to help me sacrifice your music to Al Kindle's judgment, I have a rarer.
I mean, I'm always here. I'm ever present. I'm not allowed to go home anymore.
You're not. So, rarer, what is our first offering this week?
So, our first offering up to the sacrificial altar is Ember's Fire by Paradise Lost, as suggested by Rob Nevin. Have a listen.
Don't run away from the pain. I claim that you deal with a power game from within. Impossible for you to see this.
It's funny. I almost wanted to like this song when it starts off and kind of all the way through. I swear that I kept hearing like Deep Purple and Black Sabbath undertones and kind of the way they were piecing the song together, but it didn't hook me like Deep Purple does or Sabbath. I got kind of bored with it really quickly. So I don't hate it, but I think I wanted more from it after I picked up on, like I said, it had that feel to it. It had that old metal hard rock feel that, I don't know, I just didn't. I'd have to check out some more from this band. I never heard of them. So
I must admit, I'm with you. I didn't hate it, but I wasn't enthralled by it really either. I was, meh. Sorry.
It's kind of, again, like we've had previously, that kind of sort of slightly dirgy metal, kind of almost grungy. It's not my cup of tea, really. I don't think I really enjoyed it. But I can see the appeal. It's definitely metal. Whether or not it's metal enough to go into our playlist, well, that's not my decision.
I would tolerate it on somebody else's playlist, and I wouldn't complain. Like I wouldn't turn around and go, "What is this?" But I would definitely not actively put it on mine. But the decision is Al's. So what's the verdict, Al?
I'm actually going to go ahead and put it on because what I heard, like what I picked up on, there's some stuff in there that I liked enough that, not particularly this song, but I want to check out some more stuff by this band. So I would, and the same reason you saying you don't hate it, I don't hate it. It wouldn't bother me in the background. So I'm going to go ahead and take it.
Okay, fair enough. Right, well, congratulations, Rob Nevin. Your suggestion makes the Builders playlist. Next up, I'm afraid we have a troll entry. Will Bales wanted us to put WAP on the Builders playlist, and I was initially going to ignore that for obvious reasons. But then BattleBots builder Bam Mitchard threw in a metal cover of it. So here is Wet Ass Pussy by Leo Moraccioli.
Bite your lip, ask for God, what ride that dick. You really ain't never gonna fucking for a thing. You already been signed up for it. Now get your boots and the coat for this wet ass pussy. You bought the phone just for pictures of this wet ass pussy. Pay my tuition just to kiss me on this wet ass pussy. Now make it rain if you wanna see some wet ass pussy. Look, I need a hard hit, I need deep stroke, I need...
Well, Al, I think we're gonna take free reign to rip this one, aren't we?
I have so many questions.
Yes.
My first question is, and yes, I'm old. Is this actually, so this is a cover of a song, but it's a real song?
Yes. I have never actually listened in full to the song. I know of its existence, and I know it's a song that I don't ever want to listen to, but I have occasionally caught little glimpses of it, on an advert or on a YouTube clip or something like that. So listening to this cover was the first time that I have actually heard the song the whole way through. And I now know that I still won't like it because I don't like this cover either. But
that's a whole other story. So who does this original version of this?
Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion.
Oh, okay.
It's a rap song.
No idea who those are, but whatever.
Rap.
Now, as far as the quote-unquote metal cover, there's nothing I like about this song at all because, well, one, it's a terrible song, and two, the type of metal cover that they did is what I like to call garbage metal.
Yeah.
I don't like this style, the choppy style, the phony sounding, I'm a tough guy, growly vocals. You can understand the vocals, so it's got that.
Well, I'm glad you did because I didn't understand most of this shit.
Yeah, it's not good. Don't get me wrong. It's not good. And you know what? This is worse than Pantera.
Oh my God.
He said it.
He said it. He said it. Oh my God. Klaxon sounds. Klaxon sounds. Ah!
Also, I did want to say, I think I'm on the other side of the fence to both of you. WAP is an okay-ish song. I kind of love the power behind it and the sort of women are badass feel to it. It's not my kind of music, but I kind of like what it stands for. And the metal cover here is not awful. It's not the worst thing I've ever heard, but I wouldn't expect it to be on the playlist. If it came on in a workshop, it'd turn heads.
I don't think I hate it as much as Al does. If it's worse than Pantera, Al hates it. this is we've delved into detest territory right here. So well done, Will Bales and Bam Mitchard. You've found something that Al hated more than Pantera. So you've got that going for you. Well done.
That is impressive.
That is indeed impressive.
That's an accolade.
I didn't hate it that much, but wow.
We have one more, as usual, a 3, rounding it out. David Small from Malice has suggested Battle in the Sky by Bloodbound. Use your ear holes to listen to this one. This is superb.
I love this.
Fantastic.
This is the one I love this week. I really like this one. Thank you, David. I like you.
I thought this was exactly what the playlist is for. This is what I want on a playlist. Yeah, I want this to come on when I'm building or welding or cutting or something. This is BattleBots music.
This is why I'm so glad we put it out there for other people to suggest their stuff to us, because I would not know where to look for this stuff, honestly. Because sometimes, you go on YouTube or whatever and you type in a genre and you get some real duds sometimes and then you just give up. And every now and then you come across a gem. But it's so much nicer when someone or something sends you something and you're just like, whoa, this is really cool. So I'm really happy with this, and I'm hoping that Al is likewise happy with this. What about you, Al?
I'm going to ramble a little bit on this one.
Okay.
This is such an amazing contrast to the last piece of garbage that we listened to. And just, I want to, this song is on an album called War of Dragons. I mean, come on. And this is another one of those songs that you hear the song within the first 20 seconds, you're like, oh, this is power metal.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's got everything. It's got the gallop. It's got the great vocals. And this band, Bloodbound, it's funny you just mentioned about, some not ever coming across certain bands. I just came across this band at the end of last year. I had never heard of them before. It randomly popped up in my Pandora one day at work. And I was like, who is this? At first, I kind of thought it was some Maiden I'd never heard before or some Halloween, because it's kind of like, that's how I describe them to people. We took Maiden and Halloween and mashed them together. And I think that's a good description of their sound, but they're definitely power metal, way more so than Maiden can ever be called power metal. Their first album, Nosferatu, is a masterpiece. And I'm already going to put it in my top 10, and I've only known this band for a couple months already. So I think that says a lot. That says a lot right there. And I haven't even finished going through the discography yet. So I haven't gone through this album yet.
Wow.
So when I heard the song, I looked it up real quick, and I'm like, wow, this album sounds really good. But my first exposure was a random Pandora, and I'm not surprised that David submitted this, because we listened to a lot of the same weird music that no one's ever heard of. And good pick, Dave.
This is in very stark contrast to your attitude to Will Bales and Bam Mitchell's suggestion. I think
it's two sides of the same coin here. It's hate and love. It's beautiful. Can't have this not go on the playlist. This is beautiful.
It is. It's wonderful. I think Will submitted Wet Ass Pussy because he did tell us on the Shuntcast that he tried to get BattleBots to play it, in between the fights. They play music to kind of keep everybody amused. And he kept suggesting it to them, and they did eventually play it, and they couldn't believe that they actually played it. So I think this is why Will has decided to troll us with this one. But back to the decent one. Yes, it's going on the playlist, and Rara and I would have been very offended if it hadn't. So we're very pleased, and Al's obviously very pleased. Yay!
It's a beautiful choice to round it out for the end of the segment, I think.
Yes, well done, David Small from Malice. You have a top 10 in the Builders playlist, no less. Good going.
We've just done a shit sandwich. We've just put a shit thing in between two good things.
Amazing. Well, there we go. That's it for the Builders playlist this week. Do keep dropping your suggestions on the Builders playlist thread on Robot Wars Shunt posting. And on that note, it's goodbye from Rara.
Goodbye.
And it's goodbye from our favourite metalhead, Al Kindle.
Bye, Rusty.
Hail, Rusty!
I brought you a cup of rust tea.
Oh, goodness sake. At least you didn't make me wait for it. Nice.
Right, meme of the week.
Yes, a meme of the week. It's clear cut for me this week. I'm going to be honest. It's Remy Crow RKS's Malos. I'm almost angry at that meme. I in fact, I borderlined on miffed about that. I've not seen a Lost meme in a while, to be fair.
Yes.
And that kind of that reminded me. And honourable mention to the Greatest Showman meme from Sam Robbins. That did make me chuckle as well.
And it's true. Martin Mason.
You are such a Martin Mason fanboy. It's ridiculous. It's funny. I love it.
I mean, he just funny. I mean, it's just he embraces the fun side. Like it's entertainment. It's a show. It's just it's just everything. It's just a laugh.
Aww.
So yes, I approve.
Okay, but we got to decide between the two. For me, it's Malos. What about you?
I'm gonna assume you're gonna outvote me anyway. You're gonna try and pull rank over me and say I'm the queen, so I'm gonna say this. So I'm gonna have to go with Malos as well.
Do you know what? Seeing as you're so upset over Rusty, I'll let you have it this week.
Oh, that's genuinely the nicest thing you've ever done to me.
Beats hitting you in the face with Nellie's hammer.
I mean, I tried to move on from that, but you won't let me forget it.
So, okay, who's your meme of the week?
I'm going to go with Martin Mason, Greatest Showman.
All right. Congratulations, Sam Robbins.
Yay.
You win meme of the week for episode 6. And give up on the free Calicious. Why did we bother? Honestly. So this week we're going to replace it with a meme moment of the week instead, because there was a lovely little moment, of course, where Ricky got trolled by Kurt Durgin from Axe Backwards, who drove past a decapitated mammoth and said, "Hey, did you get his license plate?" Which was lovely. Bravo. Top trolling. So congratulations, Kurt Durgin. And sorry, Ricky. F in the chat for Ricky.
Yes.
He's left us, and now we're talking about him again. And sorry, Ricky.
Yes.
Well, there we go. That is it for the Shuntcast this week, ladies and gentlebots. So it is goodbye from Dale.
Bye-bye.
And it's goodbye from the Queen. Goodbye.